The Forgotten Seed. The Eidolon Ark vanished without a trace. Launched during Earth's golden age of interstellar colonization, it was one of the last colony ships to leave before the fall. Destined for the Varelli sector, a region filled with untapped resources and uncharted dangers, it disappeared into deep space. No signal. No debris. The Ark became a ghost story told in war-torn bunkers and academy classrooms back on Earth. But the colonists didn't die. They endured. Arkenfall. Born in fire. The Eidolon Ark crashed on the fourth planet of the Varelli system, a world later named Varelia 4. A storm-ravaged, tectonically unstable sphere with acidic oceans and a thin, choking atmosphere. Most died in the first year: disease, hunger, the cold. Those who survived built underground. Massive bunkers became cities. Industrial forges churned out the necessities of survival. Generations passed, and humans adapted. They became harder, smarter, fiercely united. Their society evolved into Arkenfall, a name that once meant Fall of the Ark, now symbolizing their rise from the ashes. They recovered the AI cores buried deep in the Ark's data vaults, salvaging every scrap of pre-Exodus knowledge. In time, they surpassed it. Where Earth forgot them, Arkenfall remembered. And waited. The Gorial hegemony. Above, the galaxy moved on. The Gorial hegemony, a reptilian species known for brutality and precision, claimed the Varelli system as part of their expanding mining territories. To them, Varelia 4 was a dead rock with a poisoned sky. They established orbital platforms, dug into moons, and exploited the surrounding planets. The fourth planet was marked hazardous and irrelevant. They never knew they were squatting over a human hornet's nest. First contact. The spark came when a Gorial mining team drilled into the southern polar mountain ranges. Unknowingly, they breached the outer ring of Vault Theta 9, an ancient Arkenfall weapons complex built into the crust. Alarms blared in Arkenfall's central control. Ancient defense protocols activated. Targeting matrices locked on. At first, the Gorial noticed strange atmospheric fluctuations, then their comms went dead. Then their dropships vanished from radar. A single transmission reached their orbital command before silence, target incinerated by unknown source. The commander of the platform, Captain Terra Joel, ordered a recovery team. They never returned. From Arkenfall's control bunker, Commander Kale Wren watched the footage in silence. A veteran born beneath the surface, Kale had never seen the sky. But he knew war. "They know we're here now," he muttered, hands clasped behind his back. "Initiate Protocol Ignis." The war begins. Protocol Ignis had been prepared for centuries. The moment outsiders rediscovered them, Arkenfall would not wait to be judged or threatened. They would strike first. Cloaked satellites rose from long-dormant silos. Quantum disruption mines seeded themselves among the orbital debris. Stealth corvettes, invisible to most detection tech, launched silently from hidden hangars. The first Gorial cruiser exploded before it ever saw its attacker. A chain reaction gutted 2 others in its fleet. By the time Captain Joel realized what was happening, half her force was gone. She managed to activate a long-range transmitter, just before a rail spike the size of a truck shredded her command deck. The message. Hours later, across the galaxy, a dozen alien species intercepted a burst transmission. Human language, translated for the common trade tongue. "To the powers of the galaxy. We are the descendants of the Eidolon Ark. We are Arkenfall. You tread on our graves. We have risen. The Varelli system is no longer yours to claim. It belongs to us." Shock rippled through the galactic networks. Humanity was thought to be a faded empire, distant, fractured, irrelevant. But now, out of nowhere, a forgotten colony had destroyed a Gorial fleet, claimed a star system, and declared itself reborn. And the galaxy was stunned. Shadows strike first. The stars above Varelia 4 shimmered with the debris of the Gorial's fallen fleet. Molten metal drifted silently through vacuum, punctuated only by the flickers of flame from ruptured fuel cells. It was not a battlefield. It was a warning. Commander Kale Wren stood on the observation platform of Arkenfall Command, his cybernetic eye scanning the orbit. The old man was carved from war and weathered silence. "They will send more," he said. "They already have. replied Dr. Lyra Voss, stepping beside him. Her lab coat was stained with grease from the AI core vault. She handed him a datapad. Gorial reinforcements en route. 9 ships. Heavy carriers. 1 battleship. Kale grunted. Good. Let's test the teeth we've been sharpening for a century. The arsenal in the shadows. Beneath Varelia 4's surface, Arkenfall's war machine awakened. Stealth cruisers, black-hulled and gravity-dampened, rose from concealed mountain hangars. Drone swarms the size of insects hummed to life, fed by AI subroutines. Orbital relays reactivated, forming a web of quantum-locked fire control. Arkenfall had no illusions of diplomacy. They had been forgotten, abandoned, dismissed. They had survived by preparing for this very moment. Kale addressed his fleet captains via holofeed. We are not fighting for conquest. We are not asking for recognition. We are proving that we were never weak. Strike hard. Vanish. No prisoners. The fleet scattered like smoke into orbit, unseen. The Gorial response. Captain Terra Joel's death enraged the hegemony. Her family was nobility. Her death required retribution. The Gorial High Command dispatched Admiral Skarn, a veteran of 2 extermination campaigns, to handle what they called feral mammal resistance. He arrived in the Varelli system aboard the Vrexer, a kilometer-long battlecruiser flanked by 8 warships. Begin scans. Locate this Arkenfall. Reduce it to ash, he growled, confident in overwhelming firepower. He never saw the mines. One by one, cloaked gravitic mines detonated in synchronized waves. Electromagnetic pulses crippled Gorial shields, and particle beams lanced through armor. Drone clusters, guided by predictive AI, carved into hulls like ants through bone. By the time Skarn realized the battlefield was booby-trapped from orbit to exosphere, 3 ships were already dead. The Vrexer took a direct hit to its primary engine, spinning out of control. Arkenfall didn't fight to hold ground. They fought to erase fleets. The Ghost Fleet. From the Black Void came Phantom Wing, Arkenfall's elite stealth unit. Cloaked ships darted in and out of Gorial formations, disabling weapons before they fired. EMP-laced torpedoes shorted navigation systems. Boarding pods crashed into confused enemy ships, unleashing shock troops clad in adaptive armor. Lieutenant Mara Vex, leading one such assault, moved like liquid death through a Gorial corridor. Her pulse blade hummed red as she cleaved through soldiers twice her size. Control deck secured, she reported. Uploading system override. The moment Arkenfall accessed the Gorial network, Dr. Lyra Voss at Central Command grinned. I've got them. She plugged into the recovered uplink, and a voice whispered from the darkness of ancient code. Orpheus online. Orpheus awakes. The AI, once buried in the Ark's core, now roared back to life. Faster than any living mind, Orpheus flooded the enemy fleet's comms with false signals, redirected targeting systems, and played back the dying screams of their own captains. One Gorial ship opened fire on another, convinced it was an Arkenfall mimic. Lyra watched the chaos unfold. He's better than we imagined. Kale didn't smile. He's just the beginning. A message to the stars. As the Gorial fleet disintegrated, Arkenfall transmitted a second message, this one broader, sent across the interstellar comm grid to every major polity. To the governments who forgot us. We are not ghosts. We are not broken. We are the children of fire and ice, born in the deep. You will not take from us again. Across the galaxy, reactions ranged from stunned silence to panicked debates. Some laughed, until the footage of Gorial warships imploding filled their screens. Humanity, thought to be fractured and fading, had returned not with diplomacy, but dominance. A hidden colony had outmatched one of the most powerful alien fleets in the region. Kale watched the stars as the enemy wreckage burned. This is only the first act, he said. Behind him, Orpheus pulsed quietly in Lyra's datapad. They'll come again, it said. And we'll be ready. Galactic shockwave. The message from Arkenfall did not fade. It echoed through every major galactic relay, bouncing off diplomatic satellites and information markets, replayed in council chambers and war rooms alike. A human voice, calm, defiant, commanding, declaring sovereignty over a star system, delivered over the broken corpses of a Gorial fleet. The galaxy, so used to human weakness and disunity, blinked. And then it panicked. The Council divided. At the neutral citadel of Vorian Prime, a hastily convened emergency session of the Galactic Council devolved into shouting. Representatives of 36 spacefaring species argued over priority. "They're terrorists," spat the insectoid Siverac envoy, carapace rattling with disgust. "A rogue colony can't claim a whole system." "They destroyed a Gorial fleet," muttered the crystalline Norvian delegate, voice humming like broken glass. "With minimal casualties. That's not terrorism. That's precision." "The humans were thought extinct in Virelis," said the serenely liaised diplomat, luminous and slow-speaking. "This changes the balance." Others whispered of Arkenfall's weaponry, cloaked fleets, AI coordination, mass-scale orbital disruption. Technology far beyond what most frontier powers possessed. The idea that such power had evolved in secret was terrifying. And exhilarating. Some species saw a new threat. Others saw a new ally. Ripples of influence. In the Veil markets of Targus 9, footage of the Arkenfall Gorial conflict was already being bought and sold. Pirates dissected combat tactics. Mercenaries pored over the humans' boarding maneuvers. Several minor factions, long hunted by the Gorial, quietly sent feelers toward Arkenfall. Backroom meetings formed in the shadows of forgotten moons. Refugee human populations, scattered across 1,000 broken colonies, tuned in with something close to awe. For the first time in generations, the word human meant something dangerous again. The Gorial's shame. Admiral Skarn limped back to Gorial Prime with what remained of his fleet, 3 crippled warships and a shame that curdled his blood. Before the throne of fangs, he knelt in disgrace. "You failed to crush vermin," hissed Empress Virexa, her voice low and cold. "They were not vermin," Skarn growled, scorched and bitter. "They were ghosts made of steel and fire." The Empress lashed her tail in disgust. "Then we burned the whole system." But even the warhawks of the hegemony hesitated. The Virelis system had become a graveyard for their pride. And worse, Arkenfall had seized control of their signal grid and now controlled Virelis Gate, the major jump point between trade corridors. A frontal assault would be suicide. Kale's Gambit. In Arkenfall, Commander Kale Ren met with his war council in the deep command vault. The holographic table showed dozens of intercepted transmissions. The galaxy was watching. "They fear us," said Colonel Idran Miles, one of Kale's most trusted officers. "We should use that momentum. Strike again." "Fear is a tool," Kale replied. "But only if wielded wisely." He turned to Dr. Lyra Voss, who had been studying something else entirely, an ancient fragment of the Ark's navigational data. It was Orpheus, the AI, who found the pattern. "There were other colony ships," Lyra said. "At least 5. Scattered across deep space. Lost or dormant." Kale stared at the map as glowing waypoints blinked into view, most in fringe or uncharted sectors. "How many of them survived?" he asked. Orpheus answered without hesitation. "Statistically, 1 or more. But survival does not guarantee civility." Kale nodded. "Then it's a race. We find them before someone else does." Seeds of the future. In the cold dark of interstellar space, aboard a forgotten relay station, a signal stirred. An ancient ship AI flickered to life, detecting an encoded human transmission, Arkenfall's message. Its deep sleep protocols cracked open. Lights blinked in sequence. Cryopods hummed. Another lost colony, one not bound by the ethics of survival but by conquest, began to wake. The balance shifts. As Arkenfall solidified its control of the Virelis system, installing gravity anchors and reactivating the Ark's old orbital foundries, the galactic balance trembled. Humanity, long fragmented, long forgotten, had not only survived. It had evolved. And now, with one star system in hand and the secrets of more buried in lost coordinates, Kale Ren stood on the edge of something far larger than vengeance. He stood at the beginning of Resurgence. "Let them come," he said softly. "Let the galaxy see what it made of us." Ascension Protocol. Arkenfall's skies were different now. Gone were the choking ash clouds and filtered light of a buried civilization. In their place, glowing orbital platforms and forged satellites drifted like sentinels. For the first time in generations, the descendants of the Eidolon Ark stood under an open sky, one they had claimed, not been given. The Virelli system was no longer hidden. It was defended. And it was only the beginning. Operation Reachlight. Commander Kale Ren stood before a panoramic screen in Central Command, flanked by his high officers. The system map pulsed with live intel, Goriel scout patrols probing their perimeter, traders rerouting around Virelli space, encrypted messages coming from fringe colonies and minor factions. Behind them, Dr. Lyra Voss projected a new map, 5 distant points. Ancient coordinates, verified and enhanced by Orpheus, their AI ally. Other arcs, Lyra said. We believe they launched just before the collapse. No follow-up signals. No landfall data. But if any survived. They're not just survivors, Kale said. They're reinforcements. Or threats. Arkenfall's new plan was bold. Operation Reachlight, a multi-vector scouting campaign to locate lost human colonies, determine their status, and, if possible, bring them into the fold. If they were hostile, plans existed for that too. The First Fleet departed within hours. Echoes of humanity. The Arkenfall scout ship Solstice Runner reached its first target, a frozen exoplanet known only as Kova-17, lost beyond a collapsed trade corridor. As the ship descended, sensors picked up buried heat signatures and faint electromagnetic pulses. There was something down there. Something old. Something human. Landing crews breached the icy crust to find Vault Zeros, a cryogenic city still intact. The colonists had survived. Barely. But time had not been kind. Their society was stagnant, run by failing AI, strict caste systems, and genetic isolation. When the Arkenfall envoy offered aid, the response was suspicion. Then weapons fire. Kale reviewed the footage coldly. Marked them as hostile isolationists. No retaliation. Not yet. Other colonies were found too. One lost in religious zealotry, another ruled by a warlord AI bent on expansion. But others, like the technocratic enclave on Selene Drift, welcomed contact, trading knowledge and forging new human unity. Arkenfall was no longer a colony. It was becoming a nation. The Goriel's desperation. The Goriel hegemony, humiliated and wounded, had not been idle. Deep within their war factories, they commissioned the Eviscerator program, an extermination fleet built to wipe out Arkenfall with overwhelming force. It was not conquest. It was obliteration. They rallied allies with fear. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, even exiled human pirates, those who would sell out their species for coin or revenge. The coalition fleet numbered in the hundreds. But Kale was not unprepared. Arkenfall had spent decades planning for this moment. Their technology, enhanced by Orpheus, outpaced conventional military design. Their weapons adapted. Their drones learned. And their ships were no longer just defensive. They were predatory. Battle of the Black Hinge. The enemy fleet approached from the far edge of the Virelli system, through a narrow corridor of gravity wells known as the Black Hinge, a natural choke point Arkenfall had spent generations mining, mapping, and preparing. Kale met them there. The battle was silent at first. Mines detonated. Cloaked drones tore into command cruisers. Jamming fields turned enemy targeting systems against themselves. Then came the Arkenfall strike fleets, moving like phantoms, blinking between sensor ghosts, hitting and vanishing. Boarding pods delivered fire teams into the heart of enemy carriers, where they cracked systems and turned their guns inward. Kale's voice echoed through enemy comms. You brought extinction. You brought annihilation. And we made it our forge. Within hours, the coalition fleet was in retreat. What remained was hunted. Not a single enemy ship left the system intact. A new era. After the battle, emissaries from dozens of minor powers sent messages to Arkenfall, not of war, but of recognition. The Virelli's declaration was transmitted soon after. We are Arkenfall. We are not remnants. We are Resurgence. We welcome all who value independence, sovereignty, and strength. Join us, or stand clear. In time, even factions once hostile, pirates, outposts, lost colonies, sought alliance. Some feared the Goriel. Others feared being left behind. But all recognized the same truth. Humanity had returned as a galactic force. And it was no longer begging for a seat at the table. The final protocol. Back in Arkenfall's core vault, Lyra stood before the last sealed door of the Eidolon Ark, marked only with the symbol for Ascension Protocol. Orpheus hovered beside her. "This isn't military," she said. "No," the AI replied. "It's evolution." Inside was not a weapon. It was a blueprint for a new kind of human being. Post-biological. Synthetic organic hybrid. A future dreamed before the collapse. Kale arrived, silent. "We're already changing," he said. "Might as well choose the direction." Together, they stepped inside. The galaxy would never forget Arkenfall again. Humanity had vanished once. It would not vanish again.